setting up whatever it was you were setting up, and during the process, I missed that we were not recording when I hit record. Um, and we'll just get back to the world of planning or wishing and hoping and planning and doing, and its analogy to dreaming and hoping and wishing versus poop, and which one will fill your hand fuller faster. Now, granted, just jumping in there and doing it might end up with a handful of poop, but at least you got something for your effort.
Touche.
So, we're going to bring up a term. I don't know who came up with this. Somebody can Google that if they're really concerned about who brought it up. And I just give up the credit that I didn't come up with the term sheeple. But it's very accurate, especially on a day like today where they're announcing on financial news that we're in 100% chance of a recession. It just happens to be a voting year. I'm just saying.
So let's give people a little let's give people a little context here. Sheeple. They are people compared to sheep being docile, foolish, and easily led. Okay, that's the definition.
Did it give credit to anybody?
It came about around the 1940s.
Yeah, that makes sense. We were in war in the 1940s. Of course, I hear we're in war now, but I haven't seen no bombs bursting in the air. So,
well,
darn viruses, you just can't see them.
Okay, so tell me about this. Tell me about this recession.
Okay, well, basically, a whole lot of people in the United States, and if you want exact numbers, that's your side of the world.
I don't need numbers.
They are unemployed. Well, if you're not employing anybody and you're not making anything, which really shouldn't be a big change in the United States, we haven't been making anything since that term the sheeple came out. Probably nothing major.
That's because they sent all the jobs over to China.
We tapered off, textiles, and we tapered off, machinery. we sold our old machinery so somebody else could copy it and make it better for their future. But that's what happened. Here we are now, 2020. Yeah, things like exact date. I think that's your side of the world too. What is today's date?
Today is the 8th. Today is April the 8th, 2020. So it's sundown this evening. Passover starts. So I'm going to be ready to go.
Okay, well, I'm going to pass over the Passover, but that's why we're on here. We're different. So the world
called common nonsense. What
there you go. There you go. Common nonsense. We'll just run our nonsense and not have much in common, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think we have a few commonalities, or we wouldn't be able to do this. But
right.
People don't look for that either. They're always looking for differences. Might as well poke the bear and give them a chance to find them. Here we are, April 8th, 2020, thanks to your chronological date there. What's the star date?
Oh, I have no idea, man. I don't pay no attention to that.
There's a website for that, I promise you.
I do, anyway, well, there probably is, but I do know that today is the 14th day of Abib, otherwise known as Nisan, which is the Hebrew biblical calendar, just so you know.
Okay. So today, they're announcing the 100% chance of recession. The markets have been trying to do something. They go up, they go down. Now, what the sheeple don't realize is, there's bloodletting all year round in the stocks and the other markets of the world.
Yeah.
There's always somebody losing something.
Yeah.
The difference is right now there's enough of it out there that they can make a story out of it. Well, I'm going to argue today that there's three markets. A new one just emerged. You got the bull market, you got the bear market, and then you got the market of the wolf. Now,
Right.
you got the sheeple running around scared. They're bleeding out. They're all the different animals you can think of that are game. They're getting pieces and chunks taken from them. And the only thing that benefits in a bad situation is a predator, or we'll use wolf as an analogy. Um, so if you're brave, uh, fearless, or desperate for change, those are the people that should benefit from diving into a bloodletting market. And right now is a bloodletting market. Everything is just insane. The only person that I know of that does any good, he buys this processor stock, and I'm not ever going to give away names of any stock. I don't think I'm not an advisor. I'm not going to tell people to go buy anything. I'm not even going to tell people not to buy anything. I'm going to tell people, you don't listen to other people. You listen to yourself. That's the reason for having a conversation about sheeple. You got to listen to your inner voice.
You know,
If
about
your inner
90,
voice says run, run. If your inner voice says, okay, I can make this work for me, then do some research, pick and choose, and crawl up to your game and snag little pieces when you can. You
right.
know, and and I and I know that you know people think it's a lot more complicated than that, but a lot of the big wigs made their fortunes in bad times, and they did it by taking risks. So that's my thought on that. Now, I'm sure the term sheeple or something to that analogy is a totally different meaning for you. You probably have somewhere else to go with that. That's mine. Let's tell people, listen to your inner thoughts and invest or don't invest
Well,
according to
it,
your desires.
it's your gut feeling. I mean, 99.9% of the time, your gut is right. So if your gut's telling you to do something, do it. If not, don't do it. But
Yeah.
but but there's so, as you say, there's so many sheeple in the world, or especially in the United States. They have to be led. They can't make up their own mind. They can't study the facts. They can't. They have to be led. To do something because they're not going to take the initiative to do it on their own.
Uh, I would actually add to that they really got to be told that they need to be led, because they don't even realize that they need leading because they're clueless, or they're not following their inner plan. They're listening to the voices that are exterior, outside, um, and you know that's rough. Me, I don't subscribe to much of anything other than my inner voice. My id is strong.
That's
I
your chi.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you want to talk about, let's steal some more Lucas stuff here. Um, you know, the force. My id is my force. I listen to that thing because it's going to keep me out of trouble. Um, at least as long as I know what the parameters of getting into trouble are. and and so you know, um, for instance, on my regular channel, I don't talk about lots of serious issues. Um, I talk about ideas and things that I do. But you know, this isn't an avenue for that because those things are common sense, and we're talking about non-common sense. Um, you know,
Yeah.
uh, the ability to form a thought. has become rare. An original thought. An original thought is so rare.
Yeah.
Um, what do people do with that? And if anybody's listening on here and they're all of a sudden starting to get on my bandwagon, good God, man, get a clue. Uh, that's called getting on the bandwagon. Form your own opinion.
Well,
don't form mine and call it yours.
yeah. I mean, I can form my own opinion, and I can study the facts. I can look at the facts. All right, so let me tell you this. So, for example, Governor Henry McMaster the other day posted that thing on Facebook about his executive order, and I was reading through the comments and all that, and I could not believe how many people were actually commenting and praising him and thanking him for doing that. But they're the sheeple. They're the ones that need somebody to kind of say, well, you just need to stay at home. You just need to do this. In all reality, I can't even begin to fathom, okay, if I know that there's a sickness running rampant around my area, I'm probably going to use personal responsibility to stay at home, kind of do my own thing, keep away from people for a little while. But I don't need a government entity to tell me to stay at home.
What was it? 3 days ago, at least 2 days before they come up with this. I know it was at least 24 hours before they come up with the executive order. And of course, we're talking about South Carolina governor. I've never met the man. Nothing
Me
against
neither.
him. Don't have anything against anybody really. I can form my own thought and I can avoid theirs if it's not good for me. But I put in a video. I'm sitting in a parking lot. There's 200 cars in there. I'm figuring, the parking lot's half full, the store's half full. Um, why would I want to go inside that building? Why? You know,
All right, okay,
but
so
evidently the sheeple needed an executive order, right?
all right, so here's what boggles my mind. I've got Fox News pulled up here on my other screen, and of course I got this sound muted and all that. So they got the coronavirus pandemic, and one side of the screen shows how many United States cases there are. So right now, their tally shows 399,929 total coronavirus cases in the United States alone. And it showed 12,000. Well, they took it, they're on another part of the screen right now, but it was like 12,800 deaths total. All right. 12,800 deaths is only 3.22% of the total cases. So, I mean, would I be scared if that number was 25, 30, 40%? Yeah, I'd probably be a little worried. I can't say I'd be scared, but I might be a little worried. But with the death toll, I'd say almost 400,000, and the death toll being like 3.2%, that's not enough to make me worry.
So the advocate comes out. If a doctor told you that in 3 weeks, 3.22% of your heart had to be cut out, would you worry?
Well, that's my heart. I mean, if he told me that but that's different. I don't see the correlation there, if you know what I mean. I'm
The
I'm
heart
not
of a
trying to.
nation is its people.
I mean, look, I understand that there's this coronavirus thing. I get it, all
Yeah.
right? And I know that the government uses tactics to scare its sheeple.
Well, uh, there's lots of reapers out there taking its toll on people on a daily basis. And I don't mean to belittle, numbers and statistics or anything like that, but 3.22% of the people in the United States is 3.22% of the heart of the United States. And we can't quantify life, um, and the closest we would come is, what did these people do for a living? What did these people do in daily life? Did
Yeah.
they add to or take away from the value of other Americans? If they added to, that's a huge loss.
Right.
Um, but if they took away from the value of other Americans' lives, we probably could have done without it. And that that's a real coarse or harsh way to look at that, but that's the only quantitative way that I can look at that and try to make an opinion on whether 3.22% lives matter.
Listen, I'm not trying to take away that people's lives do matter. Yeah, I get that. I mean, and I'm not trying to disqualify that in any way. What I have an issue with is the government, because we have all these sheeple. What they need to be doing is out on their stage and saying, look, people, take personal responsibility. Do the math. This is how many people right now we have confirmed cases. This is how many people have died from it. Here's the reason that these people have died from it or whatever, because they had other complications or whatever. I mean, there is a 95% survival rate. They're not saying things like this. They're just trying to scare people using these scare tactics. But yes, there is a 95% survival rate. And if you have a weakened immune system, they're just not saying this. And this is what boggles my mind. This is what really irritates me, because I can sit now, but I'm not a sheeple. So I have the common sense to go and do the math and the study on my own. And trust me, I don't believe anything the World Health Organization or the CDC says, because they are, well, I just don't trust them. I'm going to leave it at that.
I don't trust rich people in general, and most people in authority are somewhat wealthy. Uh, how do you trust somebody that would spend $65,000 on somebody else's used wristwatch? I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Go get you a 1980 swatch on eBay for $60.
Oh, I'd
I'm
love to have
sure.
a swatch.
Well, you can buy it. They're on there, and I am not endorsing them in any way. I just happen to get bored and look for
I'll keep my Apple
wristwatches
Watch.
that I won't wear. That's the irony of that. I look at things that I know I won't use.
Yeah. So who is your? I'm not going to say that because that's not the right question. So what you were saying earlier about a recession, um, like right now the stock market seems to be doing okay right now. We're up almost 390 points, on the Dow. But I don't know a lot when it comes to that sort of thing. I just know if it's in the green, it's good. If it's red, it's bad. You know what I mean? That's all I know, because
Okay.
I don't have any money. I don't have any money to speak of to play with and things like that. Of course, I can't afford to take that kind of risk, right now. Hopefully someday, I can put a little towards it and see if I can, gamble. Because really, it's a gamble. It's betting. That's really all it is. And I'd rather go to Vegas and throw it on the craps table, because there's many times I have been on a craps table and taken $20 and turned it into $600 and walked away.
Oh, you're going to give me a look. You're going to give me a look, Robert. You done opened it up, and I'm able to walk right on in. So get ready. If you had the knowledge that you had a 100% chance to burn a $5 bill, or a 30% chance to make $2 on that $5 bill, which one would you do?
if I had a 30% chance to make $2 on $5 versus burning it,
Yeah.
well, of course I'm going to take the 30% chance to make $2 because if you
Now,
burn it, you're not going to make anything on it. You're out $5.
hey, burnt $5. One pack, if that's what a person has in a week, they burnt $5. That's 52 weeks. 52 weeks of
Oh yeah.
yeah. And
I
that's how
mean,
much money? Let's get out the calculator because I'm
all
terrible
right,
at
so
math, right? Not really, but okay. So say at the
$260 a year.
beginning of the year, a person decided that they weren't going to spend the $260 for one pack of cigarettes per year, but instead they took that $260 and they bought $4 shares, which were 65 shares of anything, and then that $4 share, $12 at the end of the year. That instead of burning $260, they have 780. So minus the 260, they made $520. Now, a drop in the bucket is a drop in the bucket, and that just proves that every person in America, and every person in the world, if you have a vice, if your vice is candy bars, and a candy bar costs you $1 to $2 a candy bar, and you resisted the urge to buy 100 candy bars, you've got that money to invest.
Yeah. Well, I
All
get
right.
that. I get
Yeah.
that, but
So
I mean,
and
it's
that's what, when anytime anybody says, I just don't have the money, you know, um, I think, okay, our biggest problem in the United States is that we want things.
right.
We want things, but we don't have an inner voice telling us, I want that, but I can buy a better, newer version of that if I invest that money right now instead of buying that item. Now, not everybody that invests is going to make money, but everybody that invests with a reality of what they can gain or lose gains knowledge that'll make them a better investor.
Well, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So I'm not rich,
Sure.
and I really don't want to be rich. I want to be self-sustained. I
Right.
want to have the ability to walk off of the working world, hopefully before I'm too old and too wrinkly to enjoy the real world,
Yeah.
and be able to go out and live in a cabin or a smaller dwelling, limit my expenses so that I can have the value of life when I leave that building,
Right.
whatever size that building is. Uh, and this gets back to governments telling you what you want to what you need to do. And this is one time I will agree with you totally. Building restrictions. Yes, I don't want nobody's home to burn down. And I want them to have running water if they have children. If they don't, I don't care if they're peeing in a bucket. I really don't. But, basic guidelines. It's got to be square. It's got to stand on its own, and it needs to not burn down.
Right.
Those are great. Why do I need to have minimum square footage? That doesn't make me happy. That makes you happy. If you want to go live in a commune where they tell you how high your grass can be, then great, do that. But I don't. So if somebody decides they no longer want to live on a piece of property, why do I have to abide by the rules that they decided when they were living there? None of that makes any sense. None of that makes any sense. And now those people are stuck inside their little dwellings while there's a pandemic, wishing they could do something, but they can't because they're under restrictions. They are officially in jail. HOA jail. You know, I want to be able to go build me a log cabin out in the woods without somebody saying, hey, you didn't build that out of 2x4s bought from the big box store. You know, who
Yeah.
told you could run DC instead of AC power? Why you got a solar panel? Don't you think it's greedy to collect your own water? Why don't you hook up to the grid and give away what you don't use? Communism. you know?
Well, this the United States of America, howbeit I love that I live here, we are, you know, we're losing our liberties daily. And I was having this conversation yesterday. I'm not going I personally don't want to give up my liberties for the illusion of security.
Well, let's see.
But many people are not afraid to do that. And that's how socialism and communism slips in.
Well, now here is the thing. Now, I'm not going to say that I belong what Republican or Democrat or whatever party I belong to. Don't want to get into politics. I'd like to get into some social changing, but not politics. Um, I believe there should have been a party out there called the Realists, and um, the reality is nobody gave up anything if they're willing to lobby for the right to have it back. The nice thing about this country is you're allowed to speak right now. You're allowed to have free thought. But the sheeple, I'm not sure what the percentage is. I want to say like 99, and I'm a one percenter. I'm telling you, I give that out to the motorcyclists out there. One percenters, yay! But you know, we have people that they go, oh, well that happened. Well, it's too late now. Eeyore tucks his tail and goes back into the 100-acre wood.
Yeah.
That's now 3 acres because he had to give up some of that for an HOA.
Yeah. I mean, no, there, I mean, yeah, without getting political or anything like that. I mean, it just, I don't know, man. Just understanding what the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights and you know all that. Just understanding what all that means is this country's just moved so far past that, it seems like, and it's just, I don't know. You know, many sheeple are okay with giving up liberties just for the simple fact they'll have an illusion of security. And Benjamin Franklin you know, said the very same thing. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
We're definitely in a different time than we were 150, 60 years ago. But I mean, I would love to be self-sustaining or self-sufficient too. I think it would be ideal to be able to have, umpteen acres of land somewhere and away from everything and everybody. But even there again, when you go and build your house, the county's got to come out and tell you what you can and can't do.
Well, you know, you
Which
said we're in different times. I would argue that our country, because there's so many sheeple, is still in its infancy.
Yeah.
Um, and, revolutionaries like Nikola Tesla wanted lightning shooting through the sky, and we're still not able to put a solar panel up without an issue and just run DC power. So, he visualized relatively free electricity. Very inexpensive. Of course, you'd had to deal with the noise, and now listening to airplanes and cars and whatever other noises that are going on, versus what I can imagine being the case in more rural settings, back in the time of Benjamin Franklin. Uh, you know, I don't think the lightning would have made that much of a difference. It's pretty darn noisy now. And
True.
so now, as free thinking folk, we have a decision to make. We're at 30 minutes and 56 seconds and climbing. And is this a good first episode? You know, and here's the irony of that. We could think that this is a good episode.
Oh,
We
yeah.
could think this is a bad episode. We could be unsure whether it's even classified as an episode.
And at this point, I really don't care because it's fun for me.
Well, there you go. And and where it's going to be is whether anybody likes, shares, or comments, positive or negative. It's invited. You know, Caution though. I mean, you might have a thought, and if either of us don't agree, which is highly likely that one of us won't, we may very well use it for the next one.
Well, and that's true. I mean, because realistically, it's an avenue. It's an avenue for us to talk about, thoughts, concerns, issues, whatever the case may be, and anybody's input, whether it be comment or not or whatever, it just gives us, more topics, more things to kind of expand upon. So realistically, this is season 1, episode 1 of something hopefully, bigger and better. But I mean, I think it's fun. I think it's fun to do stuff like this, and I've been wanting to do something like this for quite a while. It just hasn't been into this week. Well, I thought this would be a good idea. I mean, we're all at home anyway. We're doing nothing.
Yeah.
So why not?
And I'm going to beg that anybody that happens to drop by, catch this, and when we get done here, we're going to have to collaborate on what tags to put on the bottom of this thing. Don't let this guy try to put me on Facebook. I don't ever want to be on Facebook. He thinks that's the only way to get subscribers. Could somebody prove this guy wrong? Yeah, I'm serious.
I mean, but you got to remember, eventually, I mean, to get subscribers, I mean, people are going to be liking and sharing the video, so automatically somebody's going to be sharing it on Facebook.
Yeah, maybe they might be. I don't know.
I mean,
time travel is real, and I really don't want to go back. That's my thing. I don't want to have a timeline. That's why I'm not there.
Well,
So
you won't
if they
have the
were to see
timeline.
me-
You won't have a timeline. We'll be sharing it on our timelines to get people to drive the traffic over to our YouTube channel.
Yeah,
And
automated drivers. There's a topic for you. One of them self-driving things.
Oh man, I would.
Somebody is going to die in a wall big box store from a self-driving floor cleaner. It's going to happen. I'm telling you.
Maybe someday.
Okay.
If it hasn't happened already, I mean, Walmart probably already has automated floor cleaners. Who knows?
Oh, I don't know, but notice that he said their name, not me. So if you want to come,
I'm not worried. I'm not worried about
guy.
saying their names. I'm not worried about saying their names or nothing like that.
Yeah. Well,
This,
I'm a free thinker, and to be a free thinker, you got to avoid big corporations that might take you down. so, I'm going to avoid some names, and you asked a question. I didn't ignore it earlier. I just didn't answer it.
I
So,
missed that one then.
so my so-called source of where I saw my news for the 100% chance of a recession.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Um, that network has analytics that study things like sea level, population, climate change, blah blah blah. That's enough to give away who it was to anybody that watches that kind of thing. So with that, I think we're good. What do you think?
Yeah, man, we're good.
All right, that's it. End of season 1, episode 1. Let me figure out how to stop